And now joining me here on a Christmas Day March Madness post-game chat, Marcus Carr from the University of Minnesota. All he did on Christmas Day was bury a three-pointer to send this game into overtime against the number 4 team in the country, Iowa. And then the Gophers won in overtime. That's back-to-back weekends where Marcus has had 30 or more, because you had 32 against St. Louis last Sunday night, 30 here on a Friday night against Iowa. You are rolling. Let's first deal with the three-pointer. Brandon Johnson, by the way, who ended up with 26, 8 threes, sets the screen for you. So you did a little bit of everything. But take me through that last three to tie the game. Balls in your hands. You love that moment. Why?
I just love coming through for my teammates. I love my guys, and I love the fact that, they trust me and trust the work that I put in and trust that, I can make plays for them in that situation. So, they did the work with me all game to put us in that position. So I can't thank those guys enough. And kind of like you said, huge screen by Brandon to get me open and get me to my spot. But, we were kind of just talking about it right before they're at the free throw line. Like, we got a feeling they're going to miss. If they miss, we're going to hit a shot and we're going to win this game. So, they missed the free throw. We got the rebound. I got the ball in my hands, and I kind of looked up at the shot clock and knew, I don't want to kind of run it all the way down just in case we have to get a rebound, but, I'm going to hit this shot and we're going to go to overtime and win this game. So, really just got to give it to my teammates, putting us in that position for me to make that play.
Yeah, you've done this already this season against Loyola Marymount. I can't remember if it was the first or second time you guys played them, but you buried a similar shot. You've done this before, obviously, in your Minnesota career. Last season, I know you had a big one, a game winner like this. What is it about that moment, that end of game moment, that you want to be there, you want to take it, but you've got the confidence to make it?
I kind of goes back to when I was a kid, just kind of watching basketball and, just being super excited for those plays, whether it's, playoff time or just end of games, huge games, rivalry games, stuff like that. And watching, the cream rise to the top, obviously guys like Kobe, LeBron, those guys I really grew up watching and seeing them, make those plays in the clutch and just be that guy for that team. I always kind of aspired to be that. So, I kind of just put in the work and just trust my work that I put in the off season and during the season, and know that, I'm ready for the moment.
So Marcus, I mean, this game looked like you guys were dead with a minute left. I mean, they're pushing 7, that could have extended out to double figures at one point. And maybe a year ago, this Minnesota team doesn't come back. What's the difference here as to why this team is able to come back against a team like Iowa? I mean, Garza still had 32, in that final minute.
I think, definitely having, the few guys that we do come back from last year and have the experience that we've had, and guys like Gabe and Eric who have, NCAA tournament experience and been in those games. And, the fact that, last year, I believe we lost about 7 games by 4 or 5 or less. So, we were in those positions a lot last year. And I feel like, the core group of guys that came back and were able to kind of put our heads down, get to work and kind of know what we had to do. We kind of never wavered. Kind of like you said, we were down 7 with about a minute something left. And, it wasn't, we came into the timeout and it wasn't, we're defeated or we're done. It's, this isn't over. We still win. And we just made the plays to do that.
Yeah, a great shout out to Eric Curry, who's made a remarkable comeback to be a contributor after all the injuries that he's gone through. Look, Marcus, you and I have talked for years about, you thought you're going to be eligible right away. Now we got this blanket waiver, and I know we have a pandemic, so we can't excuse that. Global pandemic is obviously helping the blanket waiver for everyone that is transferring. But when you look back at what you went through, and look, I don't want to compare it to like COVID or anything, but, the fact that you had to sit out, there was all that disappointment. And now 2 years later, I mean, you are absolutely just ripping up the Big Ten. You're having a phenomenal season. You had a really good season last season and danced a little with the NBA draft. But when you look back about when you sat out, did you have any idea that what was going to happen year 1, year 2 after sitting out like that?
Not really. Just because, sitting out, it kind of just seemed a bit far-fetched. Just going through that whole entire year, I kind of just wanted to focus on my teammates and try to be the best practice scout player I could for them. And, I wasn't really thinking about, me personally or where my career was going to go from there. I was just trying to do my best to prepare those guys and, get them on the run that they had to end the season and go to the tournament. So yeah, I really wasn't, thinking ahead to what, these past 2 seasons would be. But after going into that off season and really buckling down, like, hey, I'm going to be playing again, and I got to get back in my rhythm and stuff. So definitely the past 2 seasons have been a blessing.
All right. So look, lastly, I loved watching these games on Christmas Day. I know it was a potentially once in a lifetime. You guys made the sacrifice of saying you were going to stay through, and it's probably better than sitting in a dorm room or in an apartment. What was it like to play on Christmas Day and the only league that was doing so this year?
Yeah, it was amazing. Kind of like you said, it is a sacrifice, not being able to be with our families and, be with our friends and kind of enjoy Christmas for what it is. But, at the same time, we all love this game and this is what we love to do. So we definitely jumped at the opportunity to play today, and, just being able to go out there and not only get a big win, but just play the way we did on Christmas Day is huge. Kind of going back to what I said, growing up, just watching the NBA, those Christmas games are huge. The biggest stars, the biggest players are always playing on Christmas. So, to have that honor and have a lot of people watching today was huge.
Well, you certainly have a memory maker for the rest of your life, and I know more good things are to come here for the University of Minnesota this season. Marcus, I appreciate it. Happy holidays. Stay safe.
Thank you, you too.